We're here with Witherfall, and to start, I just wanted to ask you guys. Obviously, Jake, you've been in. You played with quite a few noteworthy bands: Ice Earth, Jag Panzer, Death Riders, and even Cobra and the Lotus. How did this project come about? How did Witherfall kind of come about?
It was because I was tired of playing with all those other bands, actually. No, it was like more or less, Joseph and I were in a band together at that time, and we were just not happy with the way that the band was ran because we didn't have any control over it. And also just like the songwriting, we wanted a band that we had, like, basically the only rule was that there was no rules and no boundaries when it came to songwriting. So like more along the line of bands like Queen and Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm. More
so, well, yeah, it was more like, I mean, it's heavy stuff, you know, we wanted to do, but it was more of like a progressive kind of element. Like if we wanted to have like a flamenco section in the song, it wasn't like someone was like, well, Iron Maiden didn't do this, so we can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess talk a little bit about the recording process for the new album. Maybe like how you guys did it during the pandemic. Just, you know, I guess some of the details around that process.
Go ahead, Jake. Well, I think like the biggest thing that we had to overcome during the pandemic was actually the scheduling. Joseph and I had everything booked out for the arrangements, flights, hotels, studio time, you name it, at the very end of 2019. So when basically almost like, I think maybe a year to the day came around and the whole world got flipped upside down, or at least where we were at in Los Angeles, we had to pretty much start from ground zero. So, and kind of besides that, I mean, that was the biggest thing. We just knew we had to get this thing recorded during this time. Otherwise, it was not going to have it wasn't going to be the same record. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then of course we had to do it in the summertime in Indiana once everything came about. And really like the main thing that I would say happened is just this like sense of anxiety and like dread, because during that time too was also all of the BLM like protests and these riots and all this kind of shit. And so like all that kind of in a way subconsciously bled itself into the recording.
Gotcha. What kind of stuff inspires you guys to write? Do you guys write in a story type format, or are you inspired by, you know, events or just personal things that happen to you, or a combination of that stuff?
No, we don't plan anything at all. We just get together and start writing music, and a lot of times it's the mood in the room will dictate, you know, where we go with the songs and compositions. There's no real like pre-planning going on. It's not like, oh, like, you know, we had this type of year, we're going to do this, or like with Prelude to Sorrow, after Adam died, we weren't planning on writing, you know, a whole record about our drummer. It's just after a couple of days and about 4 songs in, like, it just becomes apparent, you know, what the record's going to be about. And then we can start following the process wherever it leads.
So you guys are kind of just running on intuition and just letting things take you where they go.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that Jake said about wanting to start a band that didn't have any rules really applies here. Like, we don't have to have a record where every song has a set format, or, you know, like we're not trying to create like a playlist of songs that you can mosh to, or what, you know, whatever like the heavy metal demographic is supposed to do. We're just trying to write music that we would like, and write like genuine music. You know, we're not trying to be pretentious or control like the writing. We're not like, okay, now it's time to write a ballad. Now it's time. Oh, this is going to be like the barn burner song with the like snare on every fucking 15th note. And we don't do that. We just write what we hear and what, you know, what makes us feel good.
Gotcha. I like to ask bands kind of like what are your influences or what inspires you to do music? I mean, you don't have to drop names if you don't want to, but that's always something I think that people are interested to hear about. You know, what led you into music and like what musicians or bands really inspire you the most?
I mean, we have a lot of the same influences, classical music and classic rock, and you know, like some of the 90s era bands like Guns N' Roses and Alice in Chains.
Mm-hmm. Percussion stuff. Like, we like 90s Dream Theater.
Yeah, guitar stuff too. I mean, I started out as a guitar player, and Jake and I both love Marty Friedman. So.
Yeah, Marty, Ingve. I mean, there's a lot of the stuff where it's like from the heavy metal perspective. You know, we love King Diamond. Sabotage, Nevermore, Dream Theater, like we just mentioned. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all the stuff. And then we all have our own personal influences, too, that range. I mean, listen to, it's not just metal in our camp, you know. It's like there's so many different genres and things that we get influences by. I mean, it's kind of endless. But yeah, I mean, that stuff there, I mean, we write a lot of our songs kind of like classical compositions, and we love that type of music. So it's like that's how we kind of approach songwriting.
Gotcha. I read somewhere that you guys, obviously you're very serious about the art and everything that's associated with the music. I guess talk about that process of selecting art and how you guys kind of, you know, works in conjunction with the music you're writing.
It's always the same artist. It's always Christian Welling.
Okay.
Every single album cover is actually starts out as a painting, and it's either 3x3 or 4x4 painting. And I mean, it's really important to us that the artwork conveys the emotion that's behind the songs and the album itself. We've been working with him since part of the band.
Yeah, he's one of the only guys that we actually relinquish a lot of creative control to. Well, basically, when Joseph and I are first writing songs, we'll kind of have a color in mind that we'll kind of hear. So, for example, off of Curse of Autumn, the song Last Scar and Other Side of Fear, which are the two more aggressive, I just say aggressive type songs on the record. We're screaming out like this red type of hue to it. So we kind of let Christian, we give him a color, and then Joseph will give him a theme and some lyrics, and then some of our extremely shitty demos, and we'll give it over to him, and we'll be like, look, just, run with it, here's kind of the guidelines, and he always knocks it out of the park, and he's one of the only guys that we really trust with it, and it's kind of made the entire visual element of the band.
Gotcha. Do you guys have any plans? I know obviously with the way things have been with COVID and everything, a lot has been shut down, but do you guys have plans for touring in the near future or doing live shows? Anything that's like solid or anything you can talk about at all?
We have a tour booked in, here in the States, we have a show in September at Prog Power Festival. And then after that, we'll be on tour with Evergrey in Europe in October, November. I mean, maybe. It's been announced. We're booked for it. But, we'll see how the world, if the world wants to see that tour, So it's up in the air, man. It's kind of a shitty time to be a band, quite frankly, if you want to tour, because it's just that in limbo phase.
Definitely. Do you guys, I guess, maybe you guys have some interesting stories about a tour you did with a certain band, or, there's a certain band that you guys have toured with that has an album that you really love or something of that nature?
I mean, I'm liking the new Evergrey record, honestly. I'm looking forward to the tour.
That's very cool.
I enjoyed the last Camelot record that they came out with. I mean, we did the Japanese run with them.
Yeah. I mean, those bands we really respect. I'm trying to think of like if there's anything new from some other bands that I've toured with.
I like the new Moonspell. That was really cool. I like that band. I like the band that was unique.
Joseph clearly checks out way more music than I do because he's a new artist. Because I can't name any off the top of my head besides, I mean, I've listened to the new Evergrey just because we're going to be out on the road with them, and I think they did a really good job. I like their atmosphere. I think that's going to be a cool tour because of, we don't sound alike, but the mood is very similar.
Yep, definitely like some dark and dreary stuff going on with both bands. And, anyone that's a fan of that type of mood is going to enjoy the set from both of us, I think. I think it's a really good tour. I think they did. Both, Mari, did a really great job putting this together.
Awesome. I mean, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? I mean, you got a couple of videos out. It's tough to come up with questions about touring and stuff since no one's on the road, no one's doing shows really. The album was great. I definitely listened to it and I thought it was amazing. It's one of those albums that's so big it takes a couple listens to really sink in, which is great. There's a lot going on and a lot that you'll never catch on a casual listen.
Typically a lot of our releases are, and quite frankly, a lot of our favorite records are like that too. I mentioned like Queen, and I can still listen back to Queen too, and I'm like, whoa, I never heard that, on my, 175th listen of it. It's definitely that. I mean, we have a few more videos coming out, because we can't tour. Our, I guess a promotional idea was to keep the band out there, but by doing videos. So we're going to do a video for pretty much every song on the release.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a wine coming out too. Our second year doing our Tempest Red Blend. So, anyone that likes to drink wine and listen to crazy atmospheric progressive rock metal, like definitely should buy our wine and buy our fucking bottle.
Yeah. Drink it, go on our website, and then buy everything else.
That's really cool.
Do the drunk Amazon purchases.
Yeah.
Do you guys control that process? Do you work closely with that process, or is it just kind of something you put your name on, or how does that work?
No. I go over there to the winery down in San Diego all the time. When we first started talking about doing the wine, he sent us some samples of like the young, like when you first start fermenting, the wine is very young and it's not quite, it hasn't matured to like the flavor that you get at the end for the process. Mm-hmm. But we tasted it, and Jake and I really love like French Pinot Noirs, stuff like that. So this wine was very good, even though it's a red blend. It's pretty distinct,
Mm-hmm.
And it's all there's no additives. It's all organic. It's a small boutique, gin terrace down in San Diego. And it's not like we're sitting there like getting our feet in the grapes, but.
Yeah, you guys are personally stomping the grapes, but you're
special batch.
Because we would have said no if it was like a winery like Barefoot, where there's like a bunch of mega purple in it and it's garbage. Sorry, Barefoot.
Yeah, no, the wine's really good. It's definitely one you don't have to like pair with a food. Sometimes those really full-bodied ones pair really nicely, and this one does pair well with food. But it's more one you can actually just, especially since the weather's getting warmer, it's a nice one. I drank a lot of this during the summertime, trust me, and so I have experience sitting out on a hot day drinking this red wine.
Do you guys sell it through your website, or where can people find it?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to witherfall.com/wine, and it links back to the winery. Right now, the 2019 year, that sold out before it was even released. You can only get it through pre-order. This year, it's on pre-order right now, and I don't know how long it'll be available. They only make a limited quantity, but it's still up there. I think it releases May 17th or something. So that's one of those ships.
That's really cool. That's something you don't hear a lot of bands messing with. So
yeah, most bands do beer and stuff like that, but we're not really like a beer type band. So when the idea for wine came up, it was like, wow, this is a no-brainer. It'd be really cool, and it's kind of cool too because we had a fun time coming up with the label, the wine label. We kind of approached it kind of like you would like an album cover. You know, we put a lot of time into trying to make it like colors and have it really pop.
So piece of art on its own.
Yeah, I mean, it's got gold foil. Our logo was gold foil. It wasn't cheap to print, but it looks really cool.
Another question I like to ask is, how did you guys kind of get into music in general? Like, what drove you to be in a band? And do you have any advice for young metalheads who might be, interested in pursuing the undertaking?
So, I mean, you got to go all in, or don't do it at all. Just enjoy the hobby. Like a lot of guys fuck themselves up, thinking they can just be a part-timer and actually like make it somewhere. But it's just not true at all. Like, you need to put all of your time, all of your effort, like all of your passion, all of your fucking money, like everything you have. And if you're not willing to do that, just sit on the sidelines and be a spectator and maybe, play in a cover band on the weekends. Like, don't bother.
Yeah, you got to really, love it. And I mean, that's really, it basically you have to almost, yeah, I mean, you got to love it. You have to be so passionate about it because otherwise, I mean, there are more, the highs are very high, but the lows are super low. So it's like, there's really no in between. You got to either really be willing to sacrifice that and have those low moments for a long time. I mean, shit with Witherfall. I mean, dude, it's been an uphill fucking steep battle, just to get to, we charted number 20 today in all music on Germany. So it was like, there's a nice high right there, but man, in the couple of months we had, there were a lot of lows too, so it's, I mean, I don't want to, everybody has that dream, I think, at first of like, when you're playing, like, oh yeah, it's going to be that, but there's so much work to it. And it's not just from, honing your craft and being like, okay, great, I can play these songs, or I can write cool songs. It's like, I mean, putting the time into business dealings, and then having to be like, okay, touring, like, can you be, there's so many factors that go into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the sacrifice, I think, too, that people don't realize, it's like, when you're starting out, if you really want to succeed, even if you have a label, like, you can't just drop the ball or pass it along, like, and expect, oh, I have a label, or I have management, I have this, I have that. Like, even if you get to that level, you still have to be all in. You can't just go, well, now I have a label, so now I can go to the movies, and I can play video games, and I can do this and that, and think everything's going to be fine. Like, you're dead in the water. Like, you have to really love not just the music, but the whole game, the whole business. It's not like 1977 where, you write a couple of great songs and some coked out fucking record label exec comes and gives you $500,000. You have to build your own business nowadays.
Yeah. There's a lot of, especially, it's everywhere. There's so much competition too. There's so many. I think that's one of the things with Witherfall is that our longevity too, and we'll stay there and we'll rise. But it's like, there's a lot of time where it's like for just people to weed out all these bands that are constantly coming at you. So many. There's just so much saturation that it's difficult on that aspect. So it's being creative, coming up with different ways, like a wine. That was one of our best business adventures I think we've done, believe it or not.
Wow.
Well, that's part of the problem too. Is a lot of the guys that aren't all in are like still taking up bandwidth, and it's like, why?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, it's
it
like
sounds harsh, but you know, it's like when a boat's sinking and there's 1,000 people on the boat, and it's like, okay, we got to get rid of 100 people so like 900 survive. Like, you know, who's gonna die soon?
I think that's solid advice, though. I think in the music industry, people need to hear that. Like, either you better be all in, or you're gonna fail. Like, because there's just there's so many people that want a piece of that.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, yeah, and you just gotta, you know, take a bunch of punches too, and like, I mean, hell, I mean, the last record, Curse of Autumn, was kind of written about that, you know?
Yeah, totally about it.
Yeah. Turn those lemons into lemonade. And,
right.
You know, but at the same time, if you want to, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, you know, if you want to play on stage but do the cover band type thing, like, that's out there too. It's going to be way less stressful. And, you know, you might even make more money.
Yeah. It's much easier to win people over with songs they already know.
Right.
Well, I'll piss people off if you've seen some of the
Yeah, if you don't do it justice.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than Sweet Child of Mine out of fucking tune and out of key.
And there's a lot of cover bands in LA too. There's a lot of great ones, but there's a lot of terrible ones.
Oh man, LA, that's a whole other older podcast on being a band in LA.
Are you guys all from LA, the LA area, or did you come out here from other places?
Yeah, I mean, I actually did the whole like 80s rock star thing and took a Greyhound bus to LA from New York with like no money.
Oh wow!
Just, like kind of like slept on the streets for like a week.
You were really all in.
I totally was all in since I was like 15.
That takes guts.
Yeah, I came out from Florida. I went to MI. So
okay,
and that's how I got out to LA and Hollywood. I loved LA. I mean, I love LA right now.
Yeah,
I loved LA. So, but yeah, I mean, actually, Witherfall never, and a lot of our guys too. I mean, it was, you know, it was kind of a stereotypical thing, but I think all of our guys are not from LA. I know Anthony's from Memphis, Marco's and from Hanover, I believe, and
you from Hanover?
Yeah, I think they're originally from there. He's from Germany. Germany. So
yeah,
and then
Alex is Palestinian.
Yeah, none of us. But that's the thing, man. When you're out in LA, no one's from LA.
Yeah, no one.
818. No, you have an 818 number. So are you from LA? Or are you
no, I'm not. I'm not either.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
No one here is from there.
Yeah, it's a trip, man.
It is a great environment though for what you do, right? Like if you're an artist or a musician of any kind, it's one of the best places to be, hands down.
It has a pulse to it that's unmatched.
What do they call it? The heat. If you go to LA for the heat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much going on.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. It's like just the part of Sunset just has. There's no place like Sunset Boulevard, on a night, like it does. It's one of those places where it's like there's places that are kind of similar to it, but not really. But there's nothing quite like it, and it's it's just there's a lot of ghosts out there, like from the cool past.
Oh yeah, that energy is just there. You can't deny it.
Yeah, let's just hope they don't fucking tear it all down and put more high-rises up like they did the House of Blues, because the House of Blues kicked ass.
Yeah, that's terrible. I used to go see Steel Panther there like once a month.
Oh, yeah. I saw Cinderella there. That was awesome. And
wow.
Really? And I think Tom Kiefer realized he could make more money just doing it himself. So he told everyone to go fuck off.
Well, that's not what happened. I know what happened. We can talk about that.
Take that offline.
Yeah.
Oh, it's totally public. You can read between the lines.
Wasn't the guy alcoholic? Like the guitar player was.
Yeah, the bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Cinderella is such an amazing band. Holy shit. But they were. Let's just say they couldn't reconcile their differences and their levels of sobriety on the road.
I'm sure that's a problem with a lot of bands from that era.
Yeah. Well,
it's a problem with a lot of bands from this era too.
Any era, really.
Jake just outed himself.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for taking the time today. I don't want to keep you too much longer because it's Friday afternoon. And just definitely appreciate you guys making the time, and hope to see you guys play live out here sometime soon when things open back up.
Yeah.
So
sounds good, man. Yeah, cool. All right,
awesome.
man. Thanks a lot.